A very good evening, all. I'm Aditi Lamba with the Wednesday night edition of South Asian News, Vision of Asia. We are coming to you from our studio in New York City. Welcome to the show. Let's begin the episode taking a look at the coronavirus pandemic and its impact. The world has surpassed 164 million cases of COVID-19 with now 3.4 million deaths. India, home to many of our viewers, today reported more than 4,500 COVID-19 deaths, making it the highest daily death toll since the start of the pandemic. Every day we are seeing the daily death toll rise in the country, where hospitals still continue to be overwhelmed without critical supplies such as oxygen, ventilators, and PPE. Currently, India has surpassed 25.5 million cases with about 185 million vaccine doses administered. Crematories are overflowing, and there continues to be a fear of the highly contagious Indian variant of the virus. Here in the United States, we are at more than 33 million cases of COVID-19 with at least 587,000 deaths. Today, the CDC published forecasts stating that the number of newly reported COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths will likely continue to decrease over the next 4 months as efforts to vaccinate most of the nation continue. Meanwhile, confusion regarding CDC new mask guidelines is worrying experts and health professionals who think it might be too soon to end mask mandate. We have tonight more on COVID updates along with politics and South Asian culture. Here are the headlines. New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut reopen, ending restrictions. Dr. Anupama Gotimukula, President-elect AAPI. Edison Mayoral candidate Councilman Sam Joshi wins major endorsements, New Jersey. Indian Consulate commemorates 160th birth anniversary of Rabindranath Tagore, New York City. It's time for a short break on Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. We'll be right back. And welcome back. I am Aditi Lamba, and this is Vision of Asia, Wednesday night episode of South Asian News. Let's begin by taking a look at the coronavirus pandemic updates and measures. States New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut today reopened for the first time fully since the start of the pandemic. This came as the CDC announced its new mask guideline, allowing people to shed their mask outdoors and indoors if they are vaccinated. New York has lifted several mask requirements for vaccinated individuals outdoors and indoors, but New Jersey will not lift its indoor mask mandate for vaccinated residents. Masks would still be required in nursing homes, schools, healthcare facilities, and public transit. However, it is important to note that unvaccinated people should still wear a mask to not spread the virus. On vaccines, more than 346 million doses have been distributed in the nation, with at least 275 million administered. Nearly 37% of the adult population is fully vaccinated. More on this and the impact of loosening COVID-19 restrictions, we spoke with Dr. Anupama Gotimukula. She is the president-elect of AAPI, the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, the largest body of Indian physicians here in the United States. Here is Dr. Gotimukula. AAPI works so closely with the Indian American community and the entire South Asian community in this country. There's a lot of work that happens between the community and AAPI doctors. How would you like all of us to help you? How can the community help AAPI give help back to India?
That's a very, very good question. And yes, definitely communities coming together, we can fight this pandemic. So we all have to come together. So AAPI has a big strength. We are alumni of different states. We have alumni from all the 50 states in India. So we are well connected to our alumni chapters, and through which we can reach the communities. And also we are well connected to the Indian communities in our own towns. So right now we are trying to reach the Indian communities and they are reaching us. It's a mutual thing going right now. I think this is helping us a lot to reach out to the Indian community. So if I have a community from Gujarat, it's very easy for me to reach the community of Gujarat and vice versa. So they are approaching us and we are approaching them. So it's interesting that AAPI has stood really, it's a front line, it's in the front line right now to help. So any help from the communities, we accept donations, concentrators, ventilators, PPE supplies, and whatever we can. And our physicians are ready to give their professional services. So that's our part as professional organization. API is a organization of, we have 80,000 plus physicians, but we are not connected to all 80,000 physicians, but through our chapters, we are connected to them. So I think we can do a lot when we come together. The connectivity is what API needs, and we are looking for that connectivity with the communities. So I think in next 2 or 3 months, we are sure that we'll reach out to every community and our help will be gone. And we are very glad that we are able to do this service to India. We are
Yes.
giving back our services to India.
This month marks 160th birth anniversary of Rabindranath Tagore. A polymath, he was a poet, writer, playwright, composer, philosopher, social reformer, and a painter. Known lovingly as Gurudev, Rabindranath Tagore reshaped Bengali literature and music as well as Indian art in late 19th and early 20th centuries. He was the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature and is known as a Nobel laureate who left a rich and diverse legacy. He is the composer behind India's national anthem Jan Gan Man and also Bangladesh's national anthem Amar Shonar Bangla. Recently, paying tribute to all the contributions of Rabindranath Tagore, the Consul General of India in New York hosted a virtual event.
Tagore is not only the only recipient of Nobel Prize in Literature from South Asia, but also the first recipient of this prestigious award in 1913 from the entire continent of Asia. He is universally acclaimed for his contribution as a poet, writer, playwright, composer, painter, philosopher, and social reformer. Most importantly, he preached the ideals of universalism and the world of harmony and without walls. As we see the present day world where tribalism and cult worship is treasured as a way of life, we must show the world the perfect antidote lies in what Tagore preached us about a century ago.
I would like to pick out two lines from from that song of Calcutta University, and I would like to recite it in Bengali the way he wrote. Shubho kormo pothe dhoron nirbhoyo gan, shob durlab sonshoy hoke oboshan. In the path of duty, move fearlessly. All weakness and doubts will wither away, will disappear. So that was Gurudev for you. I would also like to thank Tagore Society for gifting us the beautiful painting of Gurudev, which hangs as you enter the consulate on the left-hand side. With him there, he continues to bless each and every visitor to the consulate. Thank you very much for celebrating Tagore's birth anniversary. And thank you for your contribution in keeping the consulate connected with Tagore.
তাই তোমার আনন্দ আমার পর, তুমি তাই এসেছো নিচে আমায় নইলে ত্রিভুবনেশ্বর তোমার প্রেম হতো যে মিছে তাই তোমার আনন্দ আমার পর তুমি তাই এসেছো নিচে আমায় নিয়ে মেলেছো এই মেলা আমার হিয়ায় চলছে রসে খেলা আমায় নিয়ে মেলেছো এই মেলা আমার হিয়ায় চলছে রসে খেলা মোর জীবনে বিচিত্র রূপ ধরে তোমার ইচ্ছা তরঙ্গিছে তাই তোমার আনন্দ আমার পর তুমি তাই এসেছো নিচে তাই তো তুমি রাজা রাজা হয়ে তবু আমার হৃদয় লাগে ফিরছো কত মনোহরণ বেশে প্রভু নিত্য আছো জাগি তাই তো তুমি রাজা রাজা হই তবু আমার হৃদয় লাগে ফিরছো কত মনোহরণ বেশে প্রভু নিত্য আছো জাগি তাই তো প্রভু যেথায় এলো নেমে তোমার
I would like to thank Honorable Consul General of India, Mr. Randhir Jaiswal, and Tagore Society, New York. Thanks to Rana Dev Sarkar, for inviting me today. On this occasion, today I will pay my tribute to Gurudev by singing few songs from his nice collection. It's a huge collection he has. My first song from Puja Porjay, Nobo Anande Jago, Aji Nobo Robi Kirane. The song is based on Raga Ramkeli, which is very similar to Raga Bhairavi.
It's now time for another short break on Vision of Asia, Voice of the Community. We'll be back shortly. And welcome back. I am Aditi Lama and this is Vision of Asia South Asian News segment. We now have a segment of our exclusive conversation with Democratic candidate for Mayor of Edison, New Jersey, Councilman Sam Joshi. Motivated to make Edison stronger and welcoming, the councilman has received major endorsements in New Jersey, including some heavy hitters as well as local elected officials. The governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, has come out in support of Councilman Joshi, as did 3 Indian American elected leaders in the state legislature. U.S. Senator Cory Booker has also declared the councilman as his favorite, as did U.S. Senator Bob Menendez and U.S. Congressman Frank Pallone. Edison has a large number of Indian Americans and other South Asians, where our community makes up 43% of the population, and winning that, Councilman Sam Joshi will be the first Indian American mayor in Edison with a progressive agenda dedicated to empowering all. The Democratic primary for the Edison mayor election is on June 8th. Visit samjoshi.com for more information. Here is the conversation. Another big issue that's been concerning a lot of citizens and also residents of New Jersey, Councilman, is the issue of gun reform. Unfortunately, this year saw so many shootings across the nation, and there's a lot of debate about gun control, gun law, gun legislature. How are you looking at it in the Edison community, and have you seen those kind of cases happen in the Edison community as well?
Well, we defer to what the state does, but I work closely with our state legislators to make sure that we have sufficient, and it's not sufficient just yet, but we're working towards more background checks. We support it 100%.
Right. And now I'd like to ask you about Black Lives Matter, Councilman, because that movement has been huge since last year. It still continues. It's asking for racial justice of so many people. Do you support them? And do you think that perhaps our community should be an ally?
Of course, but what it really comes down to is Edison is uniquely positioned in this discussion because Edison has gone through police reform in the last 2 decades, and that's something that we should be proud of. Where we were before and where we are now, we've made significant strides in our police department. I'm a firm believer that we should have the highest training, the best training for police officers. We should invest as much time and energy and resources as possible for de-escalation. Edison Township was actually one of the first municipalities and one of the first departments in the state of New Jersey more than 10 years ago to have body cameras implemented. And a lot of the discussion that we're seeing around the country right now, we can actually, if there's one thing that we should be very proud of, it's the fact that when it comes to implementing a lot of what municipalities and the public wants on a national level, Edison Township had implemented body cameras more than a decade ago, and that's something that we should be proud of.
So do you believe that when you're looking at the law enforcement and you're looking at the officers, I have to ask you, do you believe they're being held accountable for their actions? Because the huge fight in the country right now is the fact that police officers are not being held accountable. So what's your take on this?
So we have, like I said, we've made a lot of strides in our police department, and I am proud of those changes that have been made over the course of the last 2 decades, actually. There was a lot of reform that went into our police department. I completely acknowledge that we were far from perfect in the past. But the new mechanisms that we have, the new use of force policy, the new de-escalation techniques, especially the ones that came from the Attorney General's office most recently, those are plans that, we're leading on the front. We are leading on the front, not just in New Jersey, but throughout the country with our policies, and we've shown it to be effective.
Right. We are coming towards the close end of this interview. I have 2 more questions left for you. The first one is, if you were elected as the mayor councilman, what would be on your first 100 days agenda? What are you going to prioritize? What needs the most attention according to you?
When I put on a first 100 days vision, it's at samjoshi.com. You can click on it. You can check it out, what I'm going to be doing with my first 100 days. And there's so much work that needs to be done throughout the township that I would not be able to fit it in one mailer, one flyer, one Facebook post. And so I plan to directly tackle property taxes. I plan to embrace technology, making sure our feasibility study gets done for municipal broadband, addressing the overcrowding crisis. Those are things that I immediately plan to work on, and I plan to have a strong administration that works directly with my running mates, including Governor Murphy, to make sure that we're able to maximize the amount of money that we're getting for Edison to be able to do these projects.
Right. Could you discuss some of those projects that you have coming up?
The most important thing is addressing our school overcrowding crisis. The reality is that we need a new school, and we should not be paying the high dollars for it. And my plan is through implementing a pilot program, which is a payment in lieu of taxes for to be able to generate commercial revenue. And we'd be able to build a new high school with no impact to taxpayers. This is not new. This is not a novel idea. Woodbridge Township did this successfully. Woodbridge Township, and I believe it was also Carteret that did this successfully. We've had new schools being built with zero tax impact, and it's all about working with municipal government and Board of Education hand in hand, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing when I roll up my sleeves within my first 100 days as mayor.
My last question to you is kind of personal, and again deals with the community. You are very, very young. And, as you discussed, you have been in this field of politics since the age of 14, so you exactly know what you wanted. There has been a huge push on the community to get more engaged in their civil duties, to have positions in public service. So I'd like for you to address the youth of our community and give them some advice as to what they should do. And perhaps they can get some inspiration from you that way.
Sure. So I am the youngest candidate. I'm 31 years old. I'm proud of that, but I'm also the most experienced candidate overwhelmingly. I've served 2 years on 2 years as council vice president, 3.5 years on the council, which is 1 out of 7 council members. And I've served 2 years on the zoning board, 4 years on the Fair Rental Housing Authority. And even before that, I worked in the police department as dispatcher in Central Command proudly for slightly more than a year. And before that, I was always working with every mayor since, whether it's in an internship position or directly just working with them on policy. So I've been in the political governmental realm for 17 years now. And this is, make no mistake about it, this is exactly what I wanted to do. I want to make a difference in Edison Township. I'm very proud of this town. I love this town. And I've actually launched, one of my first campaign promises was to launch the Edison Youth Service Corps, which I successfully did. I had 156 interns throughout myself being a council member. It's a summer program that we've launched, like I said, 156. And the goal of that was to inspire the youth for government positions, because most of the times, especially within the Asian community, the parents will say you should be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, architect, and there's only a handful of jobs, not realizing or not knowing that there are amazing, amazing opportunities for work elsewhere as well. And I wanted to show that if you were an aspiring architect, you can be placed in the township planning department. You can, with engineering, and you can work side by side with so many different departments right here in Town Hall. My program, out of the 156, I always did a survey before and afterwards. And before the students joined my program, it was less than 20% wanted to have some sort of a government position or government role. After my program every summer, more than 70%, 70% of them have said that they were actively pursuing a government policy related field. My goal is to inspire the youth, and I plan to do that even more as mayor than I already have.
Well, this wraps up our show for the night. Please send us your suggestions and get your voices and organizations on our show. Email us on events@itvgold.com or follow us on Facebook @itvgold. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for free access to many of our popular shows. Thank you for joining us tonight from Queens, New York. This is Vision of Asia, and I am Aditi Lamba. Take care and be well.